The world teaches people to measure progress in visible ways. Money, success, attention, fast results. But healing does not work like that. Some of the biggest victories happen silently. The day you decide to get out of bed, even though your mind feels heavy. The moment you choose kindness toward yourself instead of criticism. The night you survive without falling apart completely. These moments matter more than you think. They are proof that your spirit is still fighting for you, even when you cannot feel it clearly. And maybe you've been judging yourself too harshly lately. Maybe you look at your life and only see what is missing. Maybe you compare your journey to people who seem happier, stronger, more successful. But you do not see the full picture of their lives, and they do not see yours. Everyone is carrying something invisible. Everyone is trying to find light in their own darkness. You are not behind. You're not broken. You are simply human. There are wounds inside you that time alone cannot heal. Wounds created by rejection, by abandonment, by feeling unseen for too long. And because of those wounds, you started believing dangerous things about yourself. You started believing you are hard to love, too emotional, too damaged, too far gone. But those thoughts were born from pain, not truth. Pain has a way of convincing people that hopelessness is reality. It whispers lies in a voice that sounds familiar. And if you listen long enough, you begin to mistake those lies for your identity. But your pain is not your identity. Your difficult season is not your final destination. This chapter is not the end of your story. Right now, you may feel lost because life is asking you to release parts of yourself that no longer align with who you are becoming. And letting go is painful, even when the things you are releasing hurt you. Humans hold onto familiar pain because uncertainty feels terrifying. At least suffering you recognize feels predictable. But growth, there's a moment in life that almost nobody talks about. A quiet moment. A hidden one, the moment right before everything begins to change. It does not look dramatic. There are no fireworks. No sudden answers falling from the sky. Most of the time, it feels like exhaustion, like confusion, like sitting alone with thoughts that have become too heavy to carry. And maybe that is where you are right now. Maybe you've been trying for so long that your soul feels tired. Maybe you wake up every morning pretending to be okay because you do not know what else to do. You smile at people. You answer messages. You continue moving through your days. But inside, something aches. Something deep. Something you cannot fully explain. And the hardest part is that nobody can really see it. Nobody knows how much strength it takes for you just to keep going. But listen carefully, because this matters more than you realize. The fact that you are still here means something. The fact that your heart still reacts to hope, even after disappointment, means something. You may think you're falling apart, but sometimes falling apart is only the beginning of becoming someone new. Sometimes the old version of you has to crack open before the light can finally enter. And I know you're tired of hearing people say, everything happens for a reason. When pain stays too long, those words stop feeling comforting. They start feeling empty. Because when you are lying awake at night, wondering if your life will ever feel different, simple phrases do not heal you. You want something real, something honest. So here is the truth no one tells you enough. You're much closer than you think. Closer to peace. Closer to clarity. Closer to becoming the person you were always meant to become. Even now, especially now, because growth rarely feels beautiful when you are inside of it. Most transformation feels lonely. It feels confusing. It feels like losing parts of yourself without understanding why. There will come a day when this version of you feels distant. Not forgotten, not erased, but distant in the way storms feel distant after the sky finally clears. And when that day comes, you will realize something that is difficult to understand right now. You will realize that the hardest moments of your life were not only breaking you down, they were revealing you. Revealing the quiet strength that only appears when everything else has been stripped away. Revealing the part of you that survives even after disappointment, heartbreak, loneliness, and fear try to convince you otherwise. Right now, you may not fully see your own resilience because you are still living inside the struggle. It is difficult to recognize your strength when you're busy carrying pain every day. But surviving what you have survived already says something powerful about you. There were nights you thought you could not continue. Moments where your mind became so loud that silence itself felt unbearable. Days where your future looked empty and hopeless. Yet somehow, through all of it, you remained. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not gracefully, but you remained. That matters more than you know. The world often celebrates loud victories, big achievements, public success. But some of the most important victories happen quietly inside the human heart. Choosing to believe in tomorrow after life disappointed you. Choosing softness after being hurt. Choosing to trust again after betrayal. These are sacred kinds of courage, invisible to most people, but deeply life-changing. And maybe nobody ever taught you how valuable your presence truly is. Maybe you spent years feeling unnoticed, replaceable, like your existence did not deeply matter to anyone. When people repeatedly fail to see your worth, it slowly changes the way you see yourself. You begin shrinking emotionally, hiding your feelings, lowering your expectations, convincing yourself not to ask for too much because disappointment feels safer because people underestimate the power of staying through the uncertainty, staying through the loneliness, staying long enough to see the sunrise after the longest night of your life. There is courage in continuing. Real courage, not loud courage, quiet courage, the kind that wakes up every day carrying invisible weight and still chooses not to surrender. And I think part of you already knows this. I think part of you can feel that something is shifting inside you, even if you cannot explain it yet. The pain does not hit the same way it used to. The old fears no longer fully control you. You are becoming more aware of what drains your spirit, more aware of what truly matters. That awareness is the beginning of change. Small at first, almost invisible, but powerful. One day, you will look back at this version of yourself with compassion instead of shame. You will realize you were never weak for struggling. You were learning how to survive storms that would have broken previous versions of you. And the person you are becoming right now will carry wisdom that comfort could never teach. So if your heart feels tired today, rest. But do not quit. If your mind feels heavy, breathe. But do not quit. If life feels uncertain, slow down. But do not quit, because you're closer than you think. Closer to healing than your fear wants you to believe. Closer to peace than your sadness can currently see. And somewhere deep inside you, beneath all the noise, beneath all the exhaustion, beneath every moment of doubt, your soul already knows it. But it does not have to destroy them. Sometimes it teaches them how precious peace truly is. So if you're standing at the edge of giving up on yourself, pause for a moment. Not to force fake positivity, not to deny your pain, but simply to remember that your current emotions are not permanent identities. Feelings pass, seasons change, hearts recover slowly, and lives can transform in ways impossible to predict during dark moments. You're not failing because your healing is taking time. You're not weak because you still have hard days. You're not hopeless because your path feels unclear. You're becoming, quietly, slowly, deeply, and becoming takes patience. There is still beauty waiting for you that you have not experienced yet. Conversations that will heal parts of you. Mornings that will feel lighter. Moments where you will unexpectedly laugh from the center of your heart again. Places you have not seen. Peace you have not yet felt. Love you have not yet received. Do not deny yourself the chance to witness those future moments simply because your current chapter feels heavy. Stay long enough to meet the version of yourself that finally understands why you had to endure all of this. Stay long enough to feel life soften again. Stay long enough to discover that your story did not end in this painful season. Because you're closer than you think. Closer to healing. Closer to clarity. Closer to peace. And one day, when your heart finally feels calm again, you will look back at this moment with tears in your eyes and realize something beautiful. You made it through the darkness without losing your soul. That is beautiful. Even now, there is still a future version of you quietly waiting ahead. A calmer version, a wiser version, a version that no longer hates themselves for feeling deeply, a version that understands that sensitivity was never weakness, that it was proof that your heart remained open in a world that often encourages people to become cold. Do not become cold. The world already has enough emotionally disconnected people pretending not to care. Your ability to feel deeply is not a flaw. It is part of what makes you human. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to stop letting pain convince you that feeling makes you unworthy. Because you are worthy, even in your confusion, even in your sadness, even in your unfinished healing, especially then. And maybe you needed to hear that today more than you realize. Maybe you've spent so long criticizing yourself internally that kindness now feels unfamiliar. Maybe your mind has become a place where every mistake is replayed endlessly, every regret expanded, every insecurity magnified. But you cannot heal in an environment where you are constantly emotionally attacking yourself. At some point, you have to become a safer place for your own soul to rest. Speak to yourself gently, not because life is easy, but because you have suffered enough already. You do not need to become perfect before you deserve love. You do not need to completely heal before your life has meaning. Too many people postpone their happiness while waiting to become a flawless version of themselves that does not exist. But life is happening now, in this moment, in your breathing, in your small acts of courage, in your decision to continue despite uncertainty. And there is something else you should know. Not every closed door in your life was rejection. Some doors closed because they were leading you toward smaller versions of yourself. Some people left because they could not grow where you were meant to go. Some endings happen